Good morning and welcome to your lesson today, Tuesday the 2nd of February, at the Hogwarts School for Witchcraft and Wizardry. Your lesson today is all about writing speech in a story. It's a very important skill to learn, so I hope that you're going to give it your full attention and try your hardest with it. Anyone who doesn't try their hardest or give it their full attention will today be turned into a lizard. Hello. I just thought I hadn't used my wand for a bit, so I'd give it a go today. As I've just said, today is about using speech in your story writing, but don't worry, there won't be any turning anyone into lizards, and I just want you to give it your best shot. The nasty writing for today, I apologise, some of you may have already done this on Friday because it was in Friday's video, but as I think I told some of the children I spoke to in my class's Teams call, and it was also on the daily learning page for that day, there was no nasty writing on Friday because instead Mrs. Robinson Wright did her great feedback video all about the writing a lot of you sent in last Wednesday. So there was no nasty writing on Friday and I bumped it forward to today instead. So if you've already done today's nasty writing, you don't have to do it again unless you want to give it a go or maybe try and edit the nasty writing you did last Friday. But the nasty writing for today, if you haven't done it yet, is to write 3 to 4 lines of speech between the characters in the scene below. And as you can see, it's Ron and Harry in Ron's car, which I think at this moment in time may be flying through the sky. So I would like you to write 3 to 4 lines of speech between these two characters. What I want us to really think about when we're doing our nasty writing today, and when we're doing the main writing task for today, is using the correct speech punctuation, which is on the speech checklist on the daily learning page, but also making it clear to the reader why the speech is in the story. So it's not just for the sake of it, it's either to tell the reader something about the story or the action, or to tell the reader something about a character. So I've got a couple of lines of speech that I might give Ron and Harry. And what I'm imagining Harry is saying to Ron is, Ron, move faster. They're after us. And he's looking behind him and he can see whatever it is they're being chased by. I think in the film it's giant spiders. So that's what he's actually going to be saying. Ron, move faster. And I think he would be exclaiming that. So I've got my exclamation mark at the end. And I've got my capital letter, and I've got my speech sentence so far. Ron, move faster, and then he's going to say, there they are, they're after us. And again, I think he'd have another exclamation mark. So I have to now make sure I put in my inverted commas. So here's one bit of speech. And this is another bit of speech. So I can do this in different ways. I could have Ron, move faster, they're after us, screamed Harry as he looked over his shoulder in terror. Or I could say, Harry screamed as he looked over his shoulder in terror. Ron, move faster, they're after us. So I could have the reporting clause, the bit that tells the reader who's speaking. I could have it at the beginning or at the end. But you know what? I'm not going to put it at the beginning or the end. I'm going to put it in the middle. So I'm going to have 2 bits of speech and tell the reader who's speaking in the middle. Ron, move faster. So I've got my open and my closed inverted commas. And now I need to tell the reader who's speaking. Screamed Harry. And then I'm going to put a bit of extra information in for the reader so they know what's happening. Screamed Harry as he looked behind him in terror. Sorry, I'm writing all over the checklist. Now, I now need some more inverted commas, don't I? Because this is more speech. So I've got, Ron, move faster, screamed Harry as he looked behind him in terror. They're after us. Do I need another capital letter there? I think I do, because this is the end of one sentence in my speech, so I need a capital letter here, and here's the end of the second sentence there. So have a go at that today. That's the nasty writing. I've been saying actually to my class in my Teams call, 6SJ, you could pause the video now, do your nasty writing, which is only like 10 minutes or something, 5-10 minutes, and then restart the video to see me explain the main writing task. That probably works much better because it's how you would do it in school. So rather than watching the video all in one go and then trying to remember everything when you get to the end, pause it now, do the nasty writing, and then come back to me to explain the main writing task for today. Okay. So, hello, if you have paused the video. The main writing task today is actually not connected to your Harry Potter story. The idea is today, I thought, let's have a bit more practice at writing really good speech that tells the reader something. And then tomorrow, you're going to try and put that into your third paragraph of your story. And you may have already prepared some speech to use on your writing plan last week. So today, we've got 3 clips from Wonder. Yay, we all loved Wonder in the first part of the autumn term. And the links to the clips are on the daily learning page. There are 3 clips. You can watch them all because they're only short. They're only a few minutes each. And then you need to choose one of them to write some speech for. So you might already know, oh, I'm definitely going to do this one and just watch that one. Or you might watch all 3 and then choose one. So watch those. They're on the daily learning page. One is the school tour, which I think you know quite well because you wrote about it before. One is Via and Augie chatting on Halloween, the day of the bleeding scream incident, I'm sure you remember. And one is Augie's first day at school, where Augie's with his family. So you're going to write at least 6 lines of dialogue. So it's not so much writing today, it's really just practicing writing really good speech. And there is still a success criteria on the website which tells you some of the things you need to think about including when you're writing really good speech. I've also given you the said is dead mad to have a look at again. So good words to use instead of said. And the speech checklist is on there from the nasty writing. So all of those things should help you today. So I'm going to, which video shall I choose? I wrote down which one I wanted to choose. Which one was it? I'm going to choose the science lab, the school tour. And I'm going to start with Julian talking. Now, what you don't have, this is important, okay, so listen to this bit. You don't have to write down exactly what the characters are saying in the movie clip. You can use some of what they say, because some of it we know is taken from the book, but also you can invent some of your own speech as well, which is kind of what I'm going to do. I'm going to be still telling the same action, really, still talking about the same part of the story, but using my own speech. I'm imagining what the characters are saying. So I'm starting with Julian not being very kind to Augie and saying, well, can't imagine you're going to want to learn science because, you know, you've never been to school before, you're not clever enough. Which is kind of what he says in the movie anyway, isn't it? And in the book. But I'm just going to write it in my own words. So it doesn't have to be exactly the same words as the film. So I'm going to start with Julian talking. So I'm going to need my inverted commas straight away. Oops. Got the wrong coloured pen there. Oh, I didn't even put it on pen, that's why. I'm wondering which way is better for me to, if I do it this way, you can probably see better. So he's going to say, oh, Augie, I can't imagine you'll be choosing science. You've never been to school before. So I can't imagine you'll choose, don't forget you can use contractions because it's quite informal here, isn't it? It's informal conversation. I can't imagine you'll choose science. You've never been to school before. So I think this is one of those sentences where I might put the person who's talking in the middle, like I did in my nasty writing, because it's quite a long piece of speech and I just think it splits it up and the reader knows who's talking. I can't imagine you'll choose science. Now I'm not going to say said Julian. I think Julian's talking like this. I can't imagine you'll choose science. So I'm going to put scoffed Julian. He's kind of trying to be better than Augie, isn't he? scoffed Julian. And I wonder what Julian was doing as he said that. I reckon he'd be looking over at Jack and like smirking to see what Jack thinks, hoping Jack will join in making fun of Augie. I can't imagine you'll choose science, scoffed Julian. So I'm going to say, glancing over at Jack to see his reaction. So think about what the characters are doing as they're talking as well. Is that all important for the reader? I can't imagine you'll choose science, scoffed Julian, glancing over at Jack to see his reaction. It's really hard. You've never been to school before. Now, I don't know if you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of writing my ideas as they come to me, which I know is what lots of you do too, and I think that's great, because rather than sitting there thinking, oh, I don't know what to write, how shall I punctuate it, you just get down your ideas, and now I'm going to proofread it, what I've written, and see if I need to add any punctuation to make it make sense. So I'm going to have my inverted commas at the beginning. I can't imagine you'll choose science, scoffed Julian. Now, where does my speech end? I can't imagine you'll choose science. So that's the end of that bit of speech. And here, it's not the end of the sentence completely. It's the end of that bit of speech, but it's not the end of the sentence. So I don't need a full stop. I'm going to put a comma. I can't imagine you'll choose science, scoffed Julian, glancing over. Oh, I think I need a comma there to separate those two clauses. Scoffed Julian, glancing over at Jack to see his reaction. That's parenthesis, isn't it? Extra information. So I've got my two commas there. And now here's my last bit of speech. So, inverted commas. It's really hard. It's really hard you've never been. It's really hard you've never been. I need some punctuation there, don't I? It's really hard. You've never been to school before. So it's like extra information again. So I could put because you've never been to school before. I could put some sort of parenthesis. I think I'm going to use a dash. But remember, I don't need one at the end because I've got a full stop. It's really hard. You've never been to school before. Could have a full stop, or I could have an exclamation mark. I think I might have an exclamation mark and then closed inverted commas. I can't imagine you'll choose science, scoffed Julian, glancing over at Jack to see his reaction. It's really hard. You've never been to school before. I'm going to put you've never even been to school before. And I think I am telling the reader something in that speech. I'm telling the reader something about Julian. One, that he's not very kind. Two, that he's a bit of a show-off. And he's desperate to get other people's attention and to get other people's, he wants to know if Jack likes him or thinks he's cool. Desperate to get their approval. That's the word I was looking for. So it tells me quite a lot about Julian's character. He wants to be like top dog, doesn't he? But it also tells me that Augie's never been to school before, that science is hard. So it tells the reader quite a lot. So I think it's a useful piece of speech to have in there. I'm not going to write too much more because I'm aware that you probably just want to get started with writing your speech for today. And I've already been talking for 13 minutes, I can see. But I'm just going to give you Jack's reply. So I would start a new line now because this is Jack talking. Jack didn't react the way he expected, as you know. Jack didn't react the way he'd expected. And that is actually introducing my next piece of speech. So I'm going to put a full stop there, and then I'm going to start my speech. And he said, he's been homeschooled. You jerk. Because that's what they call each other a lot in Wonder, isn't it? He's been homeschooled. I think I need an exclamation mark there for sure. You've been homeschooled, you jerk. Inverted commas. And I'm going to say retorted, because that's a nice one on there. It's nicer than replied or answered. It makes a change. Retorted Jack. And what would Jack do as he was talking? I think he'd smile at Augie to like reassure him. So I'm going to put a comma there and parenthesis, smiling at Augie. So let me reread that to see it all makes sense. Excuse me. I can't imagine you'll choose science, scoffed Julian, glancing over at Jack to see his reaction. It's really hard. You've never even been to school before. Jack didn't react the way he'd expected. He's been homeschooled, you jerk, retorted Jack, smiling at Augie. Okay, so that's your main writing task for today. A little bit of practice of putting good speech into a story. And then tomorrow you're going to have the opportunity to write your third and final paragraph all about your trip to Diagon Alley. So I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye.